talking directly into it.
Yeah, you gotta talk. You gotta talk to that microphone like it's your friend.
Oh yeah.
Nope, not that friendly.
All right, so I'm Jeremy from Candelabra. Unfortunately, John is busy this week, so I had to twist the arm of none other than Christopher Badell, the creator and designer of Sentinels of the Multiverse, the card game. Welcome, Christopher.
Greetings. It's good to be here.
So this is the Candelabra live stream of Sentinels of the Multiverse. If you've never been here before, which is fairly likely because we've only done this once before, the goal of these streams is to show you how to play the game as well as cover some strategy that can help you win. The game does include a tutorial that covers the basics of the interface, but we will do our best to explain exactly what we're doing. Unfortunately, for some reason on this stream, you can't see the cursor, which drives me a little bit crazy. But I will talk through exactly what we're doing. Depending on how long it takes us to win, we may, or lose, frankly, we may play more than one full game session. And we expect the entire session to last probably about an hour and a half. Feel free to not stay for the whole thing or stay for the entire thing, whatever you like to do. Sentinels of the Multiverse is currently available for iPad and Android tablets, but the PC and Mac versions on Steam are coming right around the corner. Please visit our Steam Greenlight page to give us an upvote if you are a member of Steam. You can see up in the corner here it says sentinelsdigital.com. Just visit sentinelsdigital.com and you can either buy the app there or find the Steam page. There's a link to the Steam page right from there. So that's sort of what we're doing. Now, for those of you who were here last week, we went through a really basic sort of setup. This week we're going to cover another 4-on-1 session. But one of the cool things about this week is that we are actually playing on a beta build of the PC and Mac version of the game.
Ho, ho, ho.
Ho, 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 ho. Yes. And so one of the things that you'll notice right here is, what is that? What is that? Is that a variant? What is a variant exactly? Oh, it's locked. I guess I'm going to have to unlock that at some point.
What are you talking about? I'm not seeing anything here yet.
Are you looking at the Skype page there, Christopher?
Your screen is no longer sharing with me.
Let's share that up again and make sure that you can see what's happening.
No worries. I don't know when that went away.
Oh, Skype.
Go figure.
You are a harsh mistress.
It's not a huge deal. I can watch in the stream. It'll be fine. It just means that I'm going to be 10 seconds behind everybody. No, it's working for me now. Yes,
there you go.
Excellent. Good.
All right, so for those of you who've been requesting promo cards, those are called variants in the digital game. Christopher actually has not been made aware of this yet, but we're telling him now.
I like it.
I call them variants.
This change.
Yes, because one of our sort of watchwords when we were making the app is, if it can be more comic booky, make it more comic booky. And variant covers is a huge thing. And so we thought, why not just call these what they are? They are variants. So you see some heroes, you see some villains. Unfortunately, we're not going to be playing with any of these variants this evening.
What? Why not?
Just because they're still a little buggy is really the facts there. But so like if you look here, you can take a look. You can actually change the variant right in here.
Oh, it's so cool!
We've already unlocked Cosmic Omnitron for you, and so you can sort of see here what Cosmic Omnitron can do. And we actually finally added. I know this is a big thing that we missed in the first version is the being able to flip cards outside of the game. So here's the flip side of Cosmic Omnitron when he is in sentient dropship mode.
Oh, he looks so good.
He does look good, doesn't he?
I'm really excited about this.
So the way that you'll need to unlock variants is that you'll have to sort of figure out the story challenge and unlock them in the game. And you'll have to figure out what that is. I'm sure people will figure it out and post it online, but we're not going to be talking about that specifically today.
Yeah, I refuse to tell people because I feel like it's better for people to figure it out on their own.
Agreed.
Yes, somebody in the chat just asked, they said they hope that one of the variants is Young Legacy, and I'm going to jump the gun I guess you're putting it up there on the screen.
There she is.
Yes, in fact, Young Legacy will be a Legacy variant, so you'll be able to get her right out the gates, if you can figure out how. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, so there she is. And there she is. Oh, no, the two Legacies.
Don't show that side.
Okay, sorry.
Gross.
All right, so yes, so we are not going to be playing with Legacy this evening. However, we are going to be playing against Omnitron. So let's talk a little bit about who Omnitron is, what he does, and what his sort of game mechanics are. If you were here last week, we played against Baron Blade. And Baron Blade is a pretty straightforward villain. You defeat side 1, he flips, and then you defeat side 2. Omnitron is very different, isn't he, Christopher?
Omnitron is way different.
Tell us a little bit about Omnitron.
Well, so Omnitron, whereas Baron Blade has the two forms, one and then the other, Omnitron, in fact, flips more than any other villain in all of Sentinels of the Multiverse. Omnitron flips every villain turn. At the start of the villain turn, it changes back and forth from the self-aware robotics factory to the rampaging robot. And when in those two forms, it will either be playing extra cards or reviving things from the trash. It'll be pulling back drones and devices that you've already destroyed. So your progress forward is going to be a lot more challenging. Omnitron is still a difficulty 1, like Baron Blade, but whereas Baron Blade is the things that are challenging about Baron Blade is that he starts off invulnerable and he has his countdown to destruction and so on and so forth. Omnitron is going to be kind of inexorably moving forward, an unstoppable machine of death and destruction.
So we have a question from the chat. Thank you, Christopher. We have a question from the chat. Are the variants available on iOS or just Steam? So this release of the game that we're going to be playing tonight is actually built for Mac tonight. That's what we're playing on. But this version is version 1.1. It'll actually be shipping for iOS and Android probably in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, we're hoping to get it out within the next 2 weeks or so. And then this will be the version that gets turned into the Steam version with some, sort of PC-specific stuff. Hopefully for release early December. But we need your vote. So go to sentinelsdigital.com and vote for us if we're going to get on Steam.
Right, so just to reiterate, for those of you that are not aware, go to Steam, there's the Project Greenlight thing that they do, that the more votes a game gets and the more popular and more discussed it is, the more likely it is to get made. And
Exactly.
We definitely need your support there because we want to be on your computer. I want to play Sentinels of the Multiverse on the computer. I want to play it all the time on the computer.
Exactly.
So.
All right, so we know that we are playing against Omnitron this evening. Not a variant, just regular old vanilla Omnitron. And our hero team this evening is going to be made up of Haka.
Have you predetermined this?
We have predetermined this. It's going to be it's basically the four heroes that we did not play last week, who are not Absolute Zero or the Visionary.
Okay.
So we are playing Haka and Ra, Fanatic.
Oh, I like it.
And who's the final one?
Tempest. The Wraith.
There it
Tempest.
is. Tempest.
Excellent.
So that is
So last week you played with the Freedom 4 then?
Exactly. That is exactly right. We played with the Freedom 4 last week.
Did you you played Freedom 4 against Baron Blade in Insula Primalis last week?
That's exactly right. The tutorial setup.
And this week we're going to play against with these 4, which is close to the Prime Wardens, but a little bit different, against Omnitron in perhaps the ruins of Atlantis?
Well played, sir.
Oh, yeah!
It's almost like you designed the game.
It's almost like I've heard of this game before. Once or twice.
So, yes. And one of the other cool things about this now is you'll notice that I dragged the environment in, and now we have this beautiful environment in the background. And now this is where we get to the next sort of comic booky chunk. So we're going to fight.
Did it always have that where it changes the environment when you pull it in?
It did not.
Oh, this is so cool. Oh, look how cool this is.
Offensive programming online, destroy humans. Oh, Badell, this will be fun.
Jeremy, we need to talk about you know what? Actually, I was going to tease you, but that was a great job with the Haka voice.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed that.
I try. Yeah. So as you may or may not be aware, if you're new to Sentinels, you probably aren't aware, the way that a game always begins is that the villain starts some trouble. They sort of take the opening shot. And so with Omnitron, what that means is he immediately flips and he plays his turn.
Woohoo! This is a great setup where he's already starting off with an offensive capability and a defensive capability. He's saying, hey, if you don't do a bunch of damage to Omnitron by the beginning of the next villain turn, it's going to shoot us with that electromagnetic railgun, and you can't do the same type of damage twice. So as a result, it's Haka's turn now. If you tried to play, because of the adaptive plating subroutine, if you tried to play, Haka's got an elbow smash there in his hand. So if Haka said, great, I'm going to do a bunch of damage. I'm going to play elbow smash. Don't do it, Jeremy. Don't do it. If Haka played that elbow smash now and dealt one target 3 melee damage, then when Haka tried to follow up with his base power of Crush, do one target 2 melee damage, you wouldn't be able to because Omnitron would already be immune to melee damage because of the adaptive plating subroutine. So instead, you're better off doing something else. Either one of those, either the Haka Badell or the Enduring Intercession. I feel bad because I feel like I'm just going to railroad every single one of your turns here, Jeremy. Don't let me do that.
No, that's fine. So last week what happened was John and I, you got to learn a little bit about how John and I differ in our strategy. I am a deal damage right now player, whereas John is a much more pensive strategic player. It's one of the reasons why I can't play the Visionary very well. because I want to just kill, hurt, defeat the villain right now, this turn, if not sooner. Christopher, on the other hand, designed the game, so he knows how everything works.
And yet, I'm going to say right now that there is not an optimal play style for any one character. Like, lots of characters have lots of different good ways to play them. So I've seen plenty of times where I'm like, oh man, this is what I would play, and I watch somebody else play something different and do a fantastic job. So I certainly have my preferences, but my preferences aren't necessarily correct. I want to pause real quick. I see that we have Silverleaf and the Kill Switch both in the chat, and those are people that I recognize from the forum. And I want to say hello, and to all of you that are from the forum that haven't posted yet, hi also to other forumites. And for those of you who are in the chat who are not on the forum, at greaterthangames.com we have a great forum community full of awesome people like Silverleaf and the Kill Switch and other cool people and all sorts of stuff. I'm sometimes there too. And so yeah, definitely join in there for all sorts of great discussion. That said, Jeremy.
Yes, sir.
If you want to do damage right now, I would suggest Haka of Battle.
Yeah.
If you want to build up for later and let Haka take a lot of the damage that his team might otherwise, I would say Enduring Intercession. However, given this team setup, I kind of want Fanatic to take some damage. I'm good with Fanatic taking her own damage instead of Haka tanking it for her. So, how do you feel about a Haka of Battle?
So let's take a look around at our other players here. So this is one of the other things we did last week. If you're not familiar with how the game plays, you can always tap on any one of the characters to sort of see what's going on in their hand. Remember, Sentinels is a cooperative game, and in the video game version, you are either playing sort of pass and play, at least at the moment, or you're playing through all of the characters. So it is a perfect information game. At any point, you can see any information. So we can look through and see, like, so let's see what Ra has in his hand here. Oh, see, and this is where you start to see why this game is fun.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
This is a beta build. Beta build. I hide behind it being a beta build.
Don't worry,
so we've got Excavation, which is sort of an environment card thing. We've got a one-shot that deals some damage. Fire damage, which of course, as Ra, is the god of fire, or the god of the sun, that is going to be what he does, is fire damage. We got Living Conflagration, and then we've got Solar Flare, which increases fire damage, but only if Ra continually takes more damage himself. Fanatic, let's see if Fanatic has my favorite card out yet. We got Brutal Censure, which is to deal a little bit of damage and draw a card. We've got Chastise, which makes the target immune to damage, but also unable to deal damage. Basically, it's sort of a freezing spell in some ways. We've got Embolden, which allows any hero character card to take a second power in a turn, or an additional power in a turn. And we've got Smite the Transgressor, Fanatic dealing one target 2 melee damage and using.
Ooh, and Smite the Transgressor and Embolden can be used in combination to take a mega turn if you want to. But that's we'll see that later.
All right, and then finally, let's take a look at Tempest here. We've got Ball Lightning, which is an amazing
super
card.
Helpful.
Yes, that'll be so. That's really good to keep in mind. So let's look at Ball Lightning real quick. Tempest deals one target. Yes, 4 lightning damage, and you may destroy up to 2 ongoing cards. So what that means is that adaptive plating subroutine gone. That electromagnetic railgun, assuming we can't do 7 damage before we get to Tempest's turn, that's gone. And so we'll clear off Omnitron's side, and that is really excellent. Oh man, the chat is moving way faster than it was last week. I'm having a hard time keeping up.
Don't worry about it. I'll keep an eye on the chat, and I'll tell you. Hey, Jeremy, real quick for me, do me a favor and say happy birthday to Silverleaf.
Happy birthday, Silverleaf.
All right.
Fantastic. So
I'll keep an eye on the chat because I recognize so many faces.
That's awesome.
In here.
Yeah, I figured, last week was very much a, if you've never played the game, come and learn, whereas this week was a, hey, you want to see some stuff you haven't seen yet? Maybe come take a look. And actually, one of the things you guys might have noticed who have been playing the game on your tablets up to this point, you'll notice the artwork looks a little different, and that's because...
Yeah, I like the zoom. I love what you're doing here with that.
Yeah, we've gone out of our way to sort of make sure that all of the artwork is sized in a really appropriate way so that you can
look at Haka. He looks huge.
Yes, Haka is really ready to do some difficulty, some damage there. So, all right, let's go ahead and do Haka of Battle.
Yeah, I like it. Good. Another Enduring Intercession, another Haka of Battle. My recommendation is to drop both Enduring Intercessions and the Haka of Restoration. That's just me, though.
Yeah, so this is the other thing. This is talking about strategy. I tend not to use any Haka. I tend to not use Haka of Restoration or Haka of, what's the other one besides
Shielding.
Battle? Shielding. I
Haka
don't use those.
Restoration can be really helpful, but here's the deal. Anytime hanging onto your Haka cards is fine because, Jeremy, I will challenge you with this. Sometime try playing your Haka cards for their draw purposes and just discarding one card to them.
Yeah.
That could be super helpful.
I could see that. All right, so that Haka of Battle, we discarded, I believe, 2, possibly 3. So now Haka, if we use the base power, is going to do 5 damage, and we're going to do that right to that Omnitron. And that's another thing. I skipped right past it. You might have noticed. One of the things that we've added into this version, which is, again, coming out in just a few weeks, is that if there is an obvious, quote-unquote, obvious target, we pre-select it for you in the deal damage area. So that makes it just a little bit less clicking and a little bit more... so for instance, if Omnitron is the only target that can take damage, we will go ahead and select that for you, so you don't have to do an extra tap there.
I just tried to move my mouse around and click on things on the screen. It didn't work.
That'll happen. All right, so this is a situation. Now, again, this is where we start talking about personal strategy. So Omnitron's at 95. He's got a couple things in play, and he's currently immune to melee damage. We can take a look at this up here. Omnitron is currently immune to melee damage. We clicked on the lightning bolt to see what's in play. Omnitron has been dealt 5 damage this round. Now
we only need 2 more.
We only need 2 more to get that electromagnetic railgun out of play, and it can't be melee. What I would probably do in this place, because I am a very short-term thinker, do as much damage as possible right now, is I would probably put Solar Flare into play to boost my damage by 2 this turn, and then I would go ahead and use the base power, do a bunch of damage, and then decline taking the damage to let this get discarded. But that's probably a horrible strategy, but it's one of the things I would do.
The thing that I'm actually going to recommend you do is waste your base power by playing Living Conflagration.
So when this card enters play, Ra deals 1 target 2 fire damage, and then it gives him an ongoing power of Ra deals 1 target 1 fire damage. You may draw a card.
And the reason this wastes the base power or wastes the power on the card is because once you've dealt him fire damage, you can't deal him fire damage again. However, early game resources are key. So I would suggest going ahead and playing the Living Conflagration, and then using the power on Living Conflagration, because you'll get 2 card draws this turn instead of just the 1 card draw. Because it doesn't really matter on that card effect there. The only effect that we're gonna see is that electromagnetic railgun is gonna get destroyed, and then the other one is that he becomes immune to fire damage. But then using Living Conflagration for the power, sure, the 1 fire damage doesn't do anything to Omnitron. Who cares? But it gives you a card draw, and then you draw another card for the end of your turn, and now you have 1 more resource than you would have had otherwise.
And one of them is the Staff of Ra. Who can really complain with that?
Love it.
All right, so now I love Fanatic. I think that I love first of all, I love getting not Smite the Transgressor. What's her draw? Discard 3.
Wrathful Retribution.
My retribution will be wrathful.
I assume that's the card you're talking about.
That is absolutely the card I'm talking about, and I love trying to get her down to 1 HP and then playing that card for a super nuke, and that's just one of my favorite things to do. But that's just me. And so what I'm saying here, for those of you who are not familiar with every single card in the game memorized, like many of us are, is that the Fanatic has a card which basically says, deal the enemy, or an enemy of your choosing, as much damage as is equal to Fanatic's maximum HP minus her current HP. So her maximum HP, and this isn't something that some of you may not know, you can always click on the HP button, the HP number, to see the difference. Now she's at her maximum, so that's 30. Right. But if she was lower, you would click that and it would bounce back and forth. So if she's at 30, if you can get her down to 1, that means you can deal 29 damage in 1 turn, and then whatever boosts are in play as well can take that even higher.
Yeah, and in fact, because of since Baron Blade on his flip side has 30 hit points of damage, I once had a Fanatic who was allowed to play a second card on her turn because of an environment card that was in play. Play a card to flip Baron Blade to his flip side, and then kill him in 1 turn. He flipped and died immediately.
Nice.
She was pretty pleased with herself.
I imagine. All right, so in her hand right now we have Brutal Censure, which will deal 2 radiant damage. We have not yet gotten rid of that adaptive plating subroutine. So Omnitron is currently immune to fire, but she's not going to be dealing fire.
Okay, so real quick, take a look at Brutal Censure and look at what type of damage it does.
Yes, radiant.
Because Brutal Censure is your best choice. Chastise, Embolden, and everything in her hand right now is based on just utility. And right now, there's not necessarily a lot of utility she should be focusing on. She should be focusing on damage output, given this turn and given where you are in the round. So take a look at Brutal Censure. Note that the damage type on Brutal Censure is Radiant. Look at her base power.
Yep. So her base power will deal 1 melee and 1 radiant. So this is one of the things that's really great about Fanatic's base power, especially when you're playing against Omnitron. She deals one type of damage, then another type of damage, then another type of damage, then another type of damage. So it works out really well. So you can deal some Radiant, then deal melee, and then deal Radiant again, and that's going to keep that adaptive plating subroutine guessing. So that's awesome. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and do that. Boom. Fanatic is going to deal some Radiant damage. You'll notice, again, Omnitron is already selected for us. So boom, 2 Radiant damage done. Subroutine has made Omnitron immune. We go ahead and get Prayer of Desperation as our draw. And now we're going to use Fanatic's base power. Now, again, we haven't mentioned this yet, but I will always like to mention it for anybody who's new in the chat room. Play power draw. Play power draw.
Play power draw. We have shirts that say that.
Yes. And I know that a bunch of the people in the chat right now know all about the play power draw because they help out at the conventions with the play power draw.
Yep.
And so play power draw is how this game works. The beginning of the turn, you play a card, you use a power, you draw a card. That's how it goes. And so we have already, this turn so far, we have played a card. Now it is time to use a power. And in just a moment, we will draw a card. So using a power, the only power we have available is Fanatic's innate power. That is the technical term for it. So we'll go ahead and use that power. We're going to deal that to Omnitron.
While that's being dealt, I want to point out a thing, Jeremy. Silverleaf in the chat just pointed out that she really likes the Radiant sound effect. And I wanted to point that out to you because you and I went back and forth on that a million times.
We did. So we're actually in the process. One of the things we'd like to do for this, probably not this version, but a soon-to-be version of the game, an update, is have multiple sound effects for each damage type.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
Right, so it kind of varies it up a bit.
Exactly, because a lot of times you'll have so-and-so does 2 toxic damage to everybody, and it's like bubble, 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 bubble. Exactly, and so we want to sort of have that change up a little bit. Sure. But yes, this is one of those ones particularly that we just went back and forth, like, oh man.
Radiant damage is the hardest one to come up with the right sound for. So I'm really glad that somebody likes it because I was about to pull all my hairs out.
And actually the current healing sound effect used to
be the Radiant damage
sound effect.
It's a little
trivia. Hold on to that one. Maybe we'll use that as a trivia question at some point in the future.
Yep.
All right, so here we are at Tempest, and we looked through some of Tempest's other cards, like
all right, so originally,
Chain Lightning or...
Originally, I had said that you might want to play Ball Lightning on your turn so that you could use Ball Lightning to destroy the Adaptive Plating subroutine. However, we've got a team that if you look at your team, you're looking at mostly melee damage from Haka, mostly fire damage from Ra, a combination of melee and radiant from Fanatic, and then lightning damage from Tempest. We don't super care that much about the Adaptive Plating subroutine. It's annoying, but not too bad. Whereas you could put a Vicious Cyclone or an Otherworldly Resilience into play and get some utility for future purposes.
So tell us about Vicious Cyclone.
So Vicious Cyclone, you slap that on a target. In this case, we'd put it on Omnitron. And then at the start of your turn, so start of next turn and every turn from now on, you could discard up to 3 cards and deal one target, deal the target that this card is next to, 1 projectile damage for each card discarded this way. That's pretty good in of itself, so that as Tempest has extra resources, you can throw them away for damage. And since Tempest does have a lot of ability to get a lot of extra draws in their deck, it works out pretty well. But especially if there's any sort of bonuses to damage, it gets even better, and there will certainly be some of those probably as the game continues. So either that for the extra damage later, or the Otherworldly Resilience, because Tempest is definitely the glass cannon of this team, and so giving Tempest a damage reduction of 1 would be nice.
Let's go ahead and do that, just because I do agree with you that Tempest has an amazing ability to draw cards, especially if you get... What's the card that has 2 powers on it?
That one just allows you to destroy itself. And so,
right, but the base power on that lets you deal damage and draw 2 cards.
Right, that's the point of that. Yeah,
exactly. So that, and yes, you take extra damage as a result, but that is the card that really just gets Tempest to fill that deck up. So let's
Localized Hurricane.
Localized Hurricane. Yes. So we're gonna hold. I think we'll hold on to Vicious Cyclone for the moment, and go ahead and put that Otherworldly Resilience into play.
Get some defense out there.
Exactly. And again, the only power in play currently is Tempest base power, also known as Squall. So we'll go ahead and use that power. That'll deal 1 damage to Omnitron. There's no
Not the main character from Final Fantasy VIII.
All right, we got Aquatic Correspondence. And now we move on to the environment turn. For the newbies in the room, of course, we get Atlantean Fauna power right away.
Oh, no!
Oh, my goodness. And Terraforming takes it right out.
Beautiful. Oh, that's perfect.
All right, I want to unpack that for a second because I feel like.
Mind if I do it?
Yeah, so let me just go ahead and real quick. Everybody who hasn't noticed before, there's a meanwhile button here, which lets you step out of what's going on and sort of look around. So we're going to do that real quick so I can bring up Atlantean Font of Power and Christopher can explain to me what it does.
All right, so Atlantean Font of Power, when that card comes out at the end of the turn, which is immediately thereafter the card is played, it plays the top card of each deck in turn order, starting with the villain turn and then going around the table. Which is awesome. It means that everybody gets an extra card. Sure, the villain gets an extra card, but everybody gets an extra card. Well, Omnitron looked at that and went, no, I don't want everybody to have an extra card, just me. So Omnitron, the card that it played off the top of its deck was a card called Terraforming. And Terraforming destroys all environment cards and plays as many villain cards as environment cards destroyed by this turn. So instead of Atlantean Font of Power giving everybody a card play, just Omnitron got an extra card play off of it, and then flipped to the side that resurrected a card from its trash, so it got its electromagnetic railgun back. So all the work that we did on our first turn is undone, except for the hit points of damage. Sure, we still dealt 12 damage to Omnitron, which is great, but it got its card back that we destroyed and terraformed the Atlantean Font of Power so nobody got to take advantage of it. That was beautiful. Omnitron's playing really well. I kind of hope we lose this game because that was a beautiful first turn.
Well played, Omnitron. All right.
We're not going to. At this point, we're all still at full health, and it's down 12. It would have to do some shenanigans to pull it off. But it could happen. It could happen.
All right. So that electromagnetic railgun got played out. We took out the last one, but we got a new one into play here. At the start of the villain turn, Omnitron deals the two hero targets with the highest HP 3 projectile damage each. So this is one of those situations where in Sentinels, oftentimes there are situations where heroes are tied for the highest, and you have to decide. In this case, we've got basically we've got Haka, who's at 34, but then we have two heroes at 30. So we get to decide who is going to be the second person to take some of this damage. I would go ahead and say Fanatic, yeah, because you know, even though we don't have Wrathful Retribution in play,
it'll happen.
It'll happen at some point. And then you also get to tend to choose the order in which the damage gets dealt. If you don't want to choose that, you hit the little choose for me button. In that case, we were going to do that now. Sometimes that's super, super important, but right now it's not. And technological singularity. Omnitron.
That's beautiful.
And another electromagnetic railgun.
Yep, that's the one that I said that he was going to get back from the trash. I jumped the gun there. Sorry.
Oh, boy.
Okay. So now we've actually taken some damage. That's great.
Okay, so this is another one of those situations where you can tell that this is a beta build because Terraforming is still sitting there in play despite being a one-shot and it should have been discarded.
Just get rid of it. Just push the button.
That's what happens. So anyways, so we are back to the first hero turn, back to Haka. We did a Haka battle last time, which boosted some damage. And in this case, we still don't have any other villain targets in play or non-hero targets in play. So if we use that elbow smash, we're going to end up with no ability to use a power. Okay. Would you use another Haka battle here?
I'd actually probably go ahead and play Vitality Surge because some more cards would be nice, and we are down 3 hit points, so regaining 2 hit points isn't a waste, and we're not in any real danger. We don't need to lay on the damage. I know the rest of the team is good for it, so because it's more resources, you'll see me usually go for extra resources early on.
Cool. All right, so and then we'll go ahead and use their power, which is Crush.
And so each of those 2 electromagnetic railguns says that if Omnitron is dealt 7 damage, they go away, which does mean we just need to deal a total of 7 damage once to Omnitron, and then both of those railguns go away. So if we can deal the 7 damage once, we've got it all, so I'm not really concerned.
Cool. All right, so as of the end of last turn, we got that Staff of Ra, don't play it.
Don't play it.
All right, tell me.
Okay, so look at Ra's hit points.
All right, we got 30. Oh, I see what you're saying.
When you play the Staff of Ra, you regain hit points. Right now, the Staff of Ra, yeah, sure, it does give you bonus damage. But right now, we don't really need the bonus damage. We're playing just fine. Everything's going great. So hanging on to it for a little bit because Ra's going to take some damage sometime soon here, one way or another. You could go ahead and play the Staff of Ra if you really wanted to, if you didn't have a better choice, but you do have a better choice.
And what is that better choice?
Blazing Tornado, for sure.
All right, so what Christopher's getting at here is that, in the power phase, you can use a power of any of your cards that are in play that have a power on it. You can see that by seeing the P icon, circle P. So we've got Living Conflagration right now, which is dealing 1 fire damage. And then we've also got his base power, which is dealing 2 fire damage. If we get Blazing Tornado into play, we now have a third power to choose from, which basically what that means is we're giving ourselves options as we move on. So we got Blazing Tornado, which does 3 fire damage. We've got Conflagration, which does 1 and draw a card, and then we've got the base power, which deals 2. If we're just trying to do as much damage as we can, we're going to want to go for Blazing Tornado.
Well, and here's the thing. If you play Staff of Ra and then you use your base power, you deal 3 damage. If you play Blazing Tornado, you deal 3 damage and didn't waste the extra hit points.
Right. Yeah, see, and this is where the playstyles become really obvious. Like, I would want to do the most damage right this second and going forward. And so I would say, okay, I'm going to put Staff of Ra into play, and then I'm going to do 3 damage every turn. You're already thinking ahead saying, well, you know what? You could just do that with Blazing Tornado.
Right. And then next turn, play Staff of Ra and deal 4 damage every turn.
Yeah. See, I don't tend to think that far ahead.
That's okay.
I usually win, though. So there's that.
Are you playing on advanced mode, Jeremy?
I do. I play on advanced mode fairly regularly.
Good. How's advanced Voss and Dawn treating you?
I have not yet beaten Advanced Dawn, I don't believe, but I have trounced Advanced Voss several times.
Good for you. I'm glad to hear that. That makes me really happy.
Yeah. All right. So, man, Advanced Omnitron, please. I beat him on the floor in Australia on the demo setup.
Nice.
All right. So we're back to Fanatic. And so some of the cards that came out last term that we haven't gone over yet, we got Prayer of Desperation, which is a 1-shot. This is a card that's good to sort of keep in your hand if you're burning cards, so that at the end of a turn when you maybe don't have any cards in play and only have 1 card left in your hand, play this. You get 6 cards in your hand and then immediately end your turn. It's a really good way to sort of bolster yourself going into something. And then the other card that we pulled was, actually, we already had Smite the Transgressor.
And the other one we pulled was Divine Focus.
Divine Focus, there it is. So at the start of every turn, you may discard a card. If you do, Fanatic deals the villain target with the highest HP 2 radiant damage. At the start of your turn, Fanatic may deal herself 4 fire damage. Now, this is the thing about Fanatic. Almost everything that she does comes with a price.
Yes.
And what that means is that she will damage herself in order to deal damage to others.
My preference right now is that you set Ra up for success, because Ra's got a lot of good damaging powers and a Staff of Ra and is Ra in general, so like everything is great. So my preference is that you go ahead and throw an Embolden on Ra and then let Tempest destroy the Adaptive Plating subroutine using Ball Lightning, so that Ra can go ahead and unload with multiple attacks in 1 turn next turn.
I like that idea. So we'll play this. Now, when you play a card here, it says play this card next to a hero character card. That hero may use an additional power during their power phase. So when we play that, you'll see we now get a choice of all of the heroes that are in play. We got Haka, we got Ra, we got Fanatic, we got Tempest. We're going to play that on Ra, because as we saw just recently, Ra has 3 powers in play. So this gives Ra the ability to just continue to deal damage, provided, of course, that we are paying attention to the fact that that adaptive plating subroutine is going to be making Omnitron immune to damage. So if we can deal with that, that's good. And that's what Christopher was referring to with Tempest and Ball Lightning there. All right, so we are past our play a card phase. We are into use our power phase. That is, we're going to go ahead and use Fanatic's Exorcism power, which is the 1-in-1. We got Omnitron here. We'll do 1 melee damage.
Boom.
Boom, boom, boom. 1 radiant damage.
Boom, and they all go away.
And now, so yes, as we were saying here, Adaptive Plague Subroutine is going to make Omnitron immune to that final radiant damage. So we'll use that to do that, and then it will immediately remove both of those magnetic railguns because Omnitron has now been dealt 7 damage. Ooh, I like Sacrosanct Martyr, although I like it way better when Legacy's in play.
Oh yeah, sure, because you get the bonuses to the damage both in and out.
Yep. All right, so
like we talked about, we want Ra to be able to attack multiple times per turn, which is going to take one thing, which is the removal of the adaptive plating subroutine.
Yep, so that's Ball Lightning. We're going to deal 4 lightning damage.
And hey, maybe
Omnitron.
we can use it to blow up that terraforming. I don't know if the app will let us do that. No. Okay.
I don't know.
Terraforming
Yeah,
is
I don't know
there
what's
today.
going on with that terraform.
That's okay. We're gonna pretend like it's not there.
All right, so we're going to select the adaptive plate. Now, again, like you can destroy up to 2 ongoing cards. Those don't have to be villain cards. You can destroy any 2 ongoing cards. And so,
Don't blow up your teammates' cards, Jeremy.
yes, but there are situations where this might be a worthwhile thing to do.
It's true. There are a few cards that like Enduring Intercession earlier, which redirects all environment damage that would be dealt to heroes. It redirects it all to Haka, and you have to use the power to destroy it. But if you instead of wasting Haka's power on that, you could use Ball Lightning to destroy it if need be.
Exactly. All right, so let's go ahead and get that darn adaptive plating subroutine out of there. And then you always have the option to not do, well, I shouldn't say always. In many cases, you have the option, if the card says you may, that means that you can do it or you can choose not to do it. And so if you want to not do it, you just choose the skip card.
Yep.
And then
especially when things say up to. If something says up to 3 targets or up to 3 cards or whatever, 0 is a number up to 3. So you can play that and do none of those effects if you want. It's not necessarily a good expenditure of your resources, but it works.
Yeah. All right, so that was our play card. We cleared that out. Terraforming is still in there for some reason.
Ignore it. It's not
thing.
there. Pretend. Use your imagination.
So Tempest deals some damage, draws a card, and now we're back into the environment turn again.
Woohoo! All right, let's see what we get. Mystical defenses. Well, sure, okay, I guess. Ra's going to take that damage now, so we can use a staff.
All right, so again, as we discussed before, you can choose the order of damage. So the mystical defenses deals every non-environment target 2 energy damage, and we're going to want that to happen possibly in a specific order. I don't know that it really matters in this particular case. Would you agree, Christopher?
No, just let it launch.
All right, so we'll choose for me. And you'll notice there, I don't know if you saw that message on the screen right there, otherworldly resistant reduced the damage by 1. Oh boy, and here we go.
Oh yeah, electroplating. Yes, good. I mean, that's. Oh, aren't you glad you didn't play that Staff of Ra last turn? That could have been really bad.
Could have been. So what Christopher's referring to, so the card that came out, I'm going to go into the trash real quick.
Yeah, 2 things happened. First off, the electromagnetic, the pulse bomb came out, which we'll talk about in a second.
Well, let's talk about it first. So Electro-Pulse Explosive.
Right, so the Electro-Pulse Explosive, at the start of the next villain turn, it's going to deal damage equal to how much hit points it has to every hero target. So if you don't do anything about it, it's going to hit everybody for 15 each. Yikes! Or as Skyrider in the chat just said, double yikes!
Exactly.
So
and we don't have Visionary in play, so we can't be resting its mind or doing anything like that.
Don't worry about it. We got this. But then the other thing that came out this turn, the other card that came out was the Technological Singularity, in which Omnitron takes over all of the equipment card and hurts people for carrying such equipment cards. But we didn't have any in play because we managed to not play the Staff of Ra last turn. High fives.
Exactly. Good for us. So this ended up basically being sort of a dud card. It didn't really do anything, which is awesome. All right, so we are back to Haka. We have no adaptive plating subroutine in play, which is awesome.
However, we've got to deal with that with the Electro-Pulse Explosive. Now,
exactly.
Interestingly, Trace Veroma, I believe, in the chat says that we could chastise it, which we totally could. We could throw a chastise on that and ignore it for the rest of the game. Chastise being the card that you throw it on there, and then at the start of the turn, Fanatic can deal herself 2 damage, and if she takes no damage that way, the card is destroyed. So she can choose to not deal herself damage and let Chastise essentially prevent the Electro-Pulse Explosive from doing damage ever, which isn't necessarily a bad idea. Like, it's not a bad idea if we wanted to put it off. However, this is a damage-heavy team. Haka, Ra, Fanatic, Tempest, my god, this is a damage-heavy team. And I think that we can both take out the EPE, take out the Electro-Pulse Explosive, take out the Mystical Defenses, and deal some damage to Omnitron this turn, or at least get really close to that.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is where, now that we don't have to worry about, immunities or any of that kind of stuff, I would probably use the Elbow Smash and Haka's base power and just start trying to whittle away that Electro-Pulse Explosive.
Do it, Jeremy. Do it.
Doing it. Boom. So we take 3 away from it now with some melee. We'll go ahead and use, we'll go ahead and use Crush. Haka Crush.
Haka's smarter than that.
I know.
He's very intelligent. Look at him. He's eating a sandwich, and Ambuscade's messing up his day in the park. He has a balloon. Okay. Do you know what card you're going to play here?
All right, so let's take a look real quick. Let's look through here. So we got Excavation.
I'm going to real quick pause you.
Yeah.
Unless you're in a situation in which drawing cards hurts you, If you have a summon staff, you play that summon staff because the last 2 lines of summon staff means that that's just a cycle.
Yep. Boom. So what Christopher's talking about here is summon staff basically immediately grabs a Staff of Ra and puts it in your hand. But in addition to that, you draw a card and play a card.
So you should always play summon staff if you can, because it gets you free stuff, and free stuff is great stuff.
Yep.
What do you want to play after that?
Staff of Ra.
You want to, and I want you to as well, because Staff of Ra is great, but I'm going to urge you to look at Inferno based on how many targets we're dealing with right now.
All right, so, okay, yeah. All right, so we have a couple, so let's look at Inferno there. Ra deals 1 target 3 fire damage, and then up to 5 other targets 1 fire damage each, is what Christopher's talking about. On top of the fact that Ra is also going to be using 2 of his powers this turn, thanks to Embolden.
Right.
That's what Christopher's talking about. You know, Ra is a damage machine right now.
So sure that right now Inferno is going to waste, quote unquote, a little bit of damage hitting things that, because it can hit up to 5 other targets, but there aren't that many targets in play. However, I think that's fine. I'm not really worried about a bunch of other targets, and I am worried about the explosive and the mystical defenses.
All right, so let's go ahead and try that. So Inferno is going to come out. We're going to hit that Electro Pulse Explosive for 3. So now that card is starting to get into the manageable damage area, 7. That's still pretty heavy in terms of individual damage dealt, but it's starting to get, 15 is just unwieldy. And now we'll go ahead and deal 1 to Omnitron and 1 to those mystical defenses. And then at this point now, this would be a really great time if we had Absolute Zero in play. To talk about how Ra and Absolute Zero can work together, but we're not going to talk about
throwing that extra point of damage at Absolute Zero would be great.
Yeah. All right, so if we basically are going to try and do as much damage as we can now to that Electro Pulse Explosive. So our highest damage dealing power right now is Blazing Tornado, which deals 3. So we'll go ahead and use that on the Electro Pulse Explosive. Get that down to 4, and then our next highest
Wait. Before you do your next one, take a look at Tempest's hand.
All right, so let me just finish what I was saying there. So our next highest dealing damage one is we have 1 damage being dealt. 2 fire damage by Living Conflagration, and 2 fire damage being dealt by Ra's base.
It's actually only 1 fire damage for Living Conflagration. The 2 is when it comes into play. The 1 is off the power.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so the power here, you can see the 1 fire damage. All right, so we're going to take a look at Christopher's bidding. We're going to take a look real quick at Tempest's hand.
The reason I point this out is because Tempest's base power is going to do 1 damage to everything. Right?
Okay.
Look at Tempest's base power. It's an 8 power there. It's going to do 1 damage to everything. So that's going to happen for sure. And then if you look at Tempest's hand, you've got Chain Lightning, which is going to hit 3 targets, 1 for 4, 1 for 3, and 1 for 2. So the thing that has the least hit points out there is going to take 3 damage from Tempest, 2 from Chain Lightning, and 1 from the base power. How many hit points right now does the explosive have?
4.
4. So either ignore it and hit something hard, hit either the mystical defenses or Omnitron itself with your base power, or Living Conflagration to throw 1 point of damage at the Electro Pulse Explosive for the extra card draw. Whichever you prefer, Jeremy.
All right, so I think I'm probably going to go for Living Conflagration, but I did want to, as long as we've now got this here, look at Electro Pulse Explosive. You see it's got 4 damage. If you tap on that there, you can see that it's going to update to 15. We've had a number of questions about this, and actually we're going to be adding a help page for it. Basically, you can at any point you can tap on the hit points to bring up, to toggle between its current HP and its maximum HP.
That's pretty cool.
All right, so let's go ahead and use that Living Conflagration. Boom. We'll do 1 damage. Now, would you want to do it to the mystical defenses or to Omnitron himself, you think, here?
You know what? Go ahead and do it. Either Omnitron or the mystical defenses is great.
Let's try and get that mystical defenses a little bit more whittled
Sounds
down.
good to me.
Draw another card. We get a Fire Blast.
Yeah, Fire Blast.
That's a good one-shot. And another Excavation. All right, so now we are at the end of Embolden, because Embolden says at the end of that hero's turn, meaning the hero upon which you played this card, or under which you played this card, Fanatic may deal them 2 radiant damage, but if they take no damage this way, destroy this card.
I love this question because it's like, Fanatic, do you want to deal raw damage? And Fanatic is standing there and she says, yes.
Yes. Now, this is one of those things, again, for the newbies, I just want to make sure that everyone is understanding, assuming we have any newbies in the chat room here. language is always very important in this game. So at the end of the hero's turn, Fanatic may deal them 2 radiant damage. If they take no damage this way, destroy the card. Not if they are not dealt damage this way. So you could actually, as Fanatic, choose to deal this damage, but some other effect in play might stop that damage from taking place, in which case this card would still be discarded. So that's really important to keep in mind whenever one of these effects come up. You know, you might have something like a, what's Legacy's card that, Heroic Interception?
Heroic Interception, yeah.
You know, where you might say, oh, yeah, I want to deal Ra this damage, and you go ahead and do it, and then Heroic Interception takes it away, and then Ra takes no damage, even though Ra dealt it. And so that's really important to keep in mind, because if you don't set it up right, that could be a problem. So in this case, I think we do want to deal Ra the damage, yes?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because we've got that Staff of Ra, which we still haven't played.
Exactly. We actually have 2 of them.
Yep. And you can always throw one for the damage and play it again the next turn.
All right, so I tend to be a really big fan of getting Sacrosanct Martyr into play. Again, much more so when Legacy's in play, but even when Legacy's not in play, I just love getting this card in play.
It's a good power, however, I would love to see a Divine Focus hit the table about now.
At the start of every turn, you may discard a card. If you do, Fanatic deals the villain target with the highest HP 2 radiant damage. All right, so
here's why I like this right now.
Tell us.
Chastise can go away. Prayer of Restoration can go away. And Smite the Transgressor, we don't have a Absolution yet. We don't have an additional power for her yet. I mean, we do have the Sacrosanct Martyr, so that's not bad. But I would be willing to toss pretty much everything in her hand for the extra damage, because right now, if you want to make a damage machine, that's going to be a significant amount of damage. You're looking at 8 damage out of the cards in her hand, plus whatever you draw if you're willing to toss it, plus her base power. But I'm totally good with either one of those strategies. Those are 2 very different strategies for her. So either the Divine Focus or the Sacrosanct Martyr direction at this point are totally fair. If you want to go Sacrosanct Martyr, I think it's a good choice.
Let's go ahead and go Divine Focus. I'm fine with stepping outside my comfort zone. So we'll go ahead and get Divine Focus into play. So that was our, again, play, power, draw. Play, power, draw. So we played our card, and we played Divine Focus. Now, power-wise, we're going to go ahead and use, Exorcism. And that is, again, now, as Christopher pointed out, we already know that Tempest is going to be able to deal enough damage to take that Electro Pulse Explosive out. So let's go ahead and keep whittling down that Mystical Defenses. We draw another Brutal Censure, and now we move on to Tempest. And so now, again, now here we are, the start of the turn. Divine Focus asks us, do we want to discard a card? And I believe the answer is yes. So what are we thinking?
I would toss that Chastise.
Chastise? All right.
Yeah. If we can hang on to Prayer of Restoration, we have use for it, but nah, I would toss that Chastise.
Yeah, see, I almost never use Chastise in the same way that I almost never use, what is Visionary's card?
Do you mean Rest the Mind?
No. The one that makes
Telekinetic Cocoon?
Yes, that's another one that I'm not strategic enough to understand how to use that effectively. So, all right, so here we are at Tempest turn. Aquatic Correspondence, draw 3 cards. No.
Get that Chain Lightning out there.
Let's get past this. So Shielding Winds, whenever a hero target will be dealt 5 or more damage. Now, this is a good card.
Yes, it is.
But I don't know that we're going to use it right now. Vicious Cyclone, play this card next to a target. At the start of your turn, discard up to 3 cards. Tempest deals it, blah, 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 blah. No. We are going to use the Chain Lightning because we want to hurt and hurt and hurt some more. And this is a one-shot. Again, this plays right into my strategy. I am a damage dealer.
So I like it.
Boom. All right. So we could just say... We could just say, take that Electro Pulse Explosive out. But, as Christopher wisely pointed out, it's almost as if he designed the game. Tempest's base power is going to do 1 card. So what we should actually do is use the second 3 lightning damage on the Electro Pulse Explosive and use the 4, I would say, on Mystical Defenses.
I'm actually going to disagree with you because we're not going to kill the Mystical Defenses before it goes off, which means it will kill the Electro Pulse Explosive itself.
Okay. I already did.
So use the 4 on Omnitron, use the 3 on the... it's okay. If you've already used the 4, go ahead and use the 3 on Omnitron.
Okay.
But hit Omnitron as hard as you possibly can. And then let the last one hit.
Okay, so basically I swapped the 4 and the 2 is what it boils down to. The 4, right. Christopher would have had the 4 work on Omnitron, the 3 on Electropulse, and the 2...
I would use the 3 on I would use the 4 on Omnitron, the 3 on the Mystical Defenses, and the 2 on the Electropulse Explosive. But it's okay. This works out just fine.
right, so now we're going to use Squall. It's going to deal damage to everybody, so we'll just let it choose.
Yep. And the difference between what we just saw there, those are minor differences. Like you're still playing just fine.
I keep banging into the thing that's holding my microphone. I hope that's not messing you guys up when that happens.
It makes a little scraping sound. It's not a huge deal.
All right.
Fanatic definitely doesn't care about hanging on to Smite the Transgressor, I would think, in my opinion.
Fanatic deals 1 target, 2 melee, using additional power. Again, as Christopher pointed out, there is no additional power to use this turn, so let's go ahead and get rid of that. She's going to deal the target with the highest damage. All right, now we got Hallway Collapse. So this is where, you really get to see how the environment takes an active role in the game. When this card enters play, each target gets 3 melee damage, period, end of discussion. Like, it doesn't matter if you're a hero, a villain, you name it, you are going to take damage from this card. So that means that Mystical Defenses, the environment even damages itself. Boom. The Mystical Defenses takes 3. Omnitron can take 3. All of our heroes can take 3 except for Tempest, who's going to take 2 because Tempest has something in play that's going to keep him from... what's the card that gives him 1 less? Otherworldly Resilience. And there we are. Mystical Defenses now triggers because it's the end of the environment turn when Mystical Defenses takes effect. I always so this is the thing. This choose for me would let me choose everything. And actually, if I chose that, Omnitron Rob probably would take damage first. Personally, I always choose the villain and deal the damage. And then I choose for me for the heroes. That's just how I play it.
And that's fine. You got to prioritize who gets hurt when.
Yeah. All right, so now the environment is down to a single card, Mystical Defenses with only 3 HP, which means it's probably going to get taken care of pretty quickly.
So now... Silverleaf in the chat points out that if we don't discard Prayer of Desperation, we can hang on to Prayer of Desperation and use it to generate another pile of damage for Divine Focus. However, and then that's true. She's absolutely correct that that is true. However, I'm going to advocate tossing Prayer of Desperation and then at the beginning of Fanatic's turn, letting Divine Focus be destroyed instead of taking the fire damage off of it. Because even though that is the more conservative play, you never know what Omnitron's going to come up with. And I'd like to see us get far enough along that perhaps get one of the big blasters like Wrathful Retribution out.
So, okay, so tell me what I'm doing here. Am I discarding Prayer of Desperation?
Sure, that sounds great.
Okay. All right, so we've got Omnitron under 60, and the Sedative Flechettes come into play. This is one of my least favorite cards because it only deals... Every villain has a card like this, whether it's Devastating Aurora for Citizen Dawn, or what's the one that... who am I thinking?
Iron Blade has this Devious Disruptor.
Yeah, Devious Disruption.
Devious Disruption. Yeah.
Every villain has a card that's just like, oh God, please no, not that. And here it comes. So there it is. Boom. Lots and lots and lots of projectile damage, but then all of this carefully curated ongoings that we have been putting out into play are now all gone.
All gone. Everything. Woo.
Oof, there it goes. And he plays a drone, so now we've got an electromagnetic railgun to deal with.
I like it. Omnitron's showing his teeth.
Yeah, see, and this is where, this game would be pretty boring if it was obvious what you do at any given moment. And that's exactly why those cards exist, because, a villain sometimes just pulls something out of their sleeve and really just screws you up, and that's important. All right, so here we are. We've got Enduring Intercession. We've got Haka of Badell, we've got Haka of Shielding, and we've got Vitality Surge. If I was presented, if Christopher wasn't here coaching me through this, and it was just me, I would probably just play Vitality Surge and move on.
Oh, you know what? I don't care so much about the healing from Vitality Surge. I don't care about the defense from Haka of Shielding. I don't care about the redirection from the Enduring card, Enduring Intercession. Go ahead and drop Haka of Badell. See. Let's discard a bunch of cards and deal a bunch of damage and hang on to that Rampage for later, for sure.
Oh, yes. Okay.
I would throw away everything but Rampage.
Everything but Rampage. All right.
That would be my preference.
So what Christopher's referring to is Haka of Badell allows you to draw 2 cards and then discard 1 or more. So you can actually discard your entire hand with this card if you choose to. So we'll get rid of that Haka of Shielding. We'll get rid of that Haka or that Enduring Intercession, and we'll actually go ahead and even get rid of that Dominion. And so the only card we've got left is Rampage. Then this little button up top here where it says Stop, that's where you stop discarding cards. And now we've boosted the next Haka damage by 4, which means that this was going to be, what, 6? Yep, there it is. Boom.
Delicious! And that'll almost get rid of the Railgun on its own. And then we've got a Rampage and a Ground Pound in hand. Fantastic.
My name is Jeremy, yes. Thank you, Trillzilla. You know, when somebody asks a question, Christopher, you can just speak, and they will hear you.
You're right, but I don't want to interrupt you. You were talking, so I was like, I'll answer. When people are asking questions that I can answer in text, I try to do so in text, and then so on and so forth.
Gotcha. Fair enough. All right, so here we are. Ra has 16 HP and 2 staves of Ra in his hand.
It's stave time.
Yep. I'm going to play one of these staves of Ra to get some HP back and boost my next damage. Despite the fact that we have Fire Blast in play, I really want to actually get rid of that Mystical Defenses, and I believe I can do that with this. Because I got 2 fire damage boosted up to 3, yes?
Yep.
Yep. And this is where, you know, like, yes, I could take Omnitron down to 50, but you gotta pay attention to the environment, man. You know, the environment, yes, this is also going to deal some damage to Omnitron when its turn comes around, but we really want to get that out of there as soon as we can.
That's true.
And then now we're back to the Fanatic. So we've got a Brutal Censure, which deals 2 radiant damage and draws a card, or Sacrosanct Martyr, which is another power in play. Now, we didn't really talk about what Sacrosanct Martyr does. I just sort of talked about how much I like it. Sacrosanct Martyr is Fanatic dealing herself damage, and then however much damage she does to herself, she then deals to anyone she chooses. So that is one where I tend to really like. I like this, especially when you've got boosters in play. So like if you've got Legacy in play, and Legacy is boosting you with Galvanize or Inspiring Presence, or both, this card becomes really super powerful because you can like do 5 to yourself, that gets boosted to 7, and then gets redirected +2 to 9, and that's an awesome. I love this card.
If you want to play it, I'm all for it. Yeah, whichever you want.
Can you? They're
both good choices.
Yeah, I just like getting it in play with the hopes that maybe we'll draw a I can never remember the names of the cards.
Wrathful
Retribution.
Someday.
All right.
Jeremy, I'm so excited because you told me I think you told me for the first time at PAX Australia that you were not really a tabletop gamer at all before this, and that working on this game and getting to play it a lot has made you super interested in.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right.
That is all I'm so thrilled that there's people that have gotten into gaming because of this game. Like, that makes me super excited. I love it.
Honestly, it's one of those things where, just to take a quick sidebar, I'm currently in the process of growing my own gaming group. You know, I have an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 3-year-old. And
you're literally growing your own
I'm literally growing my own gaming group so that they will play these games with me. They already, as you know, Christopher, because you've seen the video, they know the name of every character in this game.
That was a really cute video.
But they're not really good at playing them yet because only one of them can read.
Don't worry, we're going to put out a game in the next year or 2 that will be perfect for them.
I'm very excited to hear that. All right, so despite the fact that Terraforming is still sitting here steadfastly for some strange reason, there actually are no villain cards in play. So Ball Lightning does 4 lightning damage, but there are no ongoing cards for it to destroy. We may still want to use it, but let's look around at what else is in play here. We got Shielding Winds. Whenever hero target will be dealt 5 or more from a single source, reduce that by 2. And then we've also got Vicious Cyclone. You know, this is again where my sort of play style is deal as much damage as possible because, you know, why bother strategizing if you can kill right now? That's sort of how I think.
True.
So what do you think, Christopher?
You know, either Vicious Cyclone or the Aquatic Environment. Either way, you know, getting Aquatic Correspondence, going ahead and getting some extra card draw at this point would be pretty nice.
Let's go ahead and do that. I think that's a fantastic idea. So we've got another Vicious Cyclone. Someone somewhere really wants us to play that. We've got an Electrical Storm, and Grievous Hailstorm. I like a good Grievous Hailstorm.
Yeah, it's good for what ails you.
It's good for the soul. All right, so now we're, again, play, power, draw, play, power, draw, play, power, draw. I feel like I need to remind that as much as I possibly can. So play, power, draw, we're into power.
I'm going to get a play, power, draw tattoo.
We're going to go ahead and use Squall. There's only one thing in play. Oh, and yes, so Gene-Bound Shackles is one of my favorite cards for Tempest because that means whoever out there's got the most hit points is going to start damaging. Oof. All right, Toxic Seaweed. So let's read what Toxic Seaweed does. Again, this is one of those, Ruins of Atlantis is one of those environments that can really work for you, but man, can it work against you too. So we got Toxic Seaweed. Whenever a hero uses a power, deal that hero 3 toxic damage. At the end of the environment turn, one player may discard their hand to destroy this card.
Hey, Jeremy?
Yes, sir.
Didn't we just get rid of all of somebody's cards except for 1 or 2?
Yeah, so let's take a look at that. So we've got Haka, who's only got Ground Pound and Rampage in play, or in his hand. We've got Ra, who's actually got a pretty decent amount of stuff in his hand.
Right.
We got Fanatic, who's just got Brutal Censure and Chastise. And then we've got Tempest, who's actually got a fair bit of stuff.
So really, at this point, either Haka or Fanatic could afford to throw away their hand and still be in pretty good shape.
I would lean, honestly, towards Fanatic. Just because, like, we already know that we don't love that Chastise. And yes, Brutal Censure can do some damage. But I really want to hold on to not only Rampage, but that Ground Pound can be fairly useful as well. He doesn't have 2 other cards to discard at the moment, but...
Either way, I'm totally fine with either of those choices. Go crazy.
All right, so yeah, we're going to go ahead and go back. So again, you saw me there use the meanwhile. Again, let's talk about UI for the video game for a second. Whenever you're in a decision, you can always use the meanwhile button to back out and look at the state of the game. You know, this is a game that has a lot going on, and you really want to take a look at what's happening before you make decisions a lot of times. So the meanwhile button lets you do that. So let's go back in. We'll go ahead and select Fanatic. And where are we here? Hang on a second. And again, so Fanatic's got to discard her entire hand, so we'll just let it choose for me. And that gets rid of Toxic Seaweed, which is good. I try to do that if it's at all possible, because Toxic Seaweed is just so, well, frankly, toxic, as it were. Alrighty, so here we have, Omnitron. Again, you've probably noticed that Omnitron is flipping every turn, and when Omnitron is in rampaging robot mode, we've got the top card of the villain deck is played, and at the beginning of the turn, you got that flip. So this is really important to keep in mind, to keep an eye on, is which side of Omnitron is up, especially when you're playing in advanced mode. We haven't really talked about advanced mode yet, but advanced mode basically makes the game more difficult so that it's more of a challenge. And depending on which side Omnitron is on, Omnitron either reduces damage dealt to devices or increases damage done by devices. So it's extra important to keep in mind which side Omnitron is on. I'm
really glad that you did the thing with the app that the advanced mode doesn't show unless you're specifically playing against advanced mode, so that it's not confusing about, like, wait a minute, there's these words here. What do they do? Like, you guys have done some fantastic stuff with the UI and with the way the game works. I love playing. I played, a few hours of it on the way to and from Australia on those ridiculously long flights. And really, you've done such a great job at the app.
Thank you. That's always nice to hear. We're actually obviously pretty partial to it. And I will say that, obviously a number of the reviews have come out that have talked specifically about some of the choices that we made that we weren't really sure about when we made them. Like, I think this is a good idea, but who knows what people are going to think. And by and large, people have been agreeing with us, which has been really felt great. So I'm actually glad we hung on to that Rampage, because now here we've got Omnitron in play. Yes, we've still got terraforming. That's a bug. We've got the repair drone and the automation drone in. So if we use Rampage here, guess what? Bye-bye.
Do it all.
So we can go ahead and do 5. This does 5 damage to every 9.
You're going to choose Omnitron manually first, aren't you? Yep.
Always. Screw you, villain. I want to take you out. Automation drone gone. Repair drone gone. Terraforming still hanging out for some reason. And then... But again, this is the Hulk Smash card. Forgive me for saying so. And this is where he actually ends up damaging his teammates a little bit.
Haka Rampage.
Haka Rampage. Hulk Smash, Haka Rampage.
Haka is one of the most intelligent heroes in all of Sentinels of the Multiverse. One of the most intelligent people.
That's his secret, Christopher. He's always intelligent.
+1.
All right, so play, power, draw. We are now going to use Crush. Deal some damage to Omnitron. The villain does not get hit first. Well, okay. Well, let me.
Yeah, they
let me
do because it
rephrase.
goes by order of cards.
It goes by order. Yeah, it goes by order
Yeah.
of turn play. So yes, in general, the villain does get hit first, but I like choosing it and saying I'm damaging you. That's my thing. So, yes, Silverleaf. Thank you for pointing that out.
No, I like that they're keeping you on task here.
They are. They absolutely are. So now let's talk a little bit about UI as well. So any card that you can play is going to have that slight like pulsing glow feeling going on. So if you look over here, we've got a Staff of Ra, and the Staff of Ra is an equipment card. It is a relic, but what else is it, Christopher?
It's going to give you the heat. Oh, what are you asking here?
It is limited.
I'm sorry, what?
It is limited.
Oh, right. You can only have one Staff of Ra.
Exactly.
I see what you're saying now.
Yeah. So that is already in play, so we can't do that, and that's why that card is not pulsating right now. All right, so here we are. And again, to once again speak to the sort of different play styles, I am a damage dealer. I would use Fire Blast right here to just start just wailing on Omnitron, trying to get him done as fast as possible. Thoughts?
Go for it.
Boom! Fire Blast.
Yeah,
6
I like it.
with the Staff of Ra. Confirm. Boom. 37. Awesome. And now we also get to use... so this is the thing about the Staff of Ra. The Staff of Ra is a pretty cool card. We already have one in play, but we have another one in our hand. If we use it, we're going to deal 3 projectile damage. It's going to go away, but then next turn we would get the chance to heal and use it again. If I have more than one, I almost always burn it and play it again the next turn. But I don't know if that's typically what, smart people do. I just know that's what I do.
Toss it, Jeremy. I love it.
Boom. Oh, Omnitron. You are going down, my friend. Ooh, Wrathful Gaze. That's one of those cards that I almost never use, Wrathful Gaze. All right, so Fanatic has no cards in her hand, which means she skips her play a card phase. If she were to also skip her use a power phase, she would actually get to draw an additional card in her draw phase. I actually think that might be the right call at this juncture. What would you say there, Christopher?
You're moving far enough along in the thing. You could go ahead and get a couple extra cards, or you could just straight up go for the damage and get the one card. Omnitron's down to a third of its life. Either way, if you want to skip your turn and draw the extra card, I'm totally fine with that. But if you want to do the damage, also good. Either way.
Yeah, I would, my thing is at this point, with Fanatic down to 8, her max HP is 30. She's currently at 8. That means that she is 22. She would be able to do 22 if she could get a Wrathful Retribution in her hand right now. And so, and with Omnitron at 33, I would actually, the way that I would do it is I would skip and hope that I'm going to pull a Wrathful Retribution. So we got a Sanctifying Strike and another Sanctifying Strike. So it didn't play out. It didn't play out for me there, but what are you going to do? All right, so here we are to Tempest. And we talked a little bit about Genebound Shackles. Genebound Shackles allows Tempest to increase the damage dealt to the current villain with the highest HP. So, there are cases where, a minion or even, someone basically something other than the main villain have the highest HP. This is not one of those cases because Omnitron still has 33 HP. And I like Grievous Hailstorm, but I tend to like Grievous Hailstorm when there's more environment targets or villain targets in play.
Sure. I would say either Electrical Storm for the constant ongoing damage or the Genebound Shackles for the big damage to Omnitron now. Either way, those are probably your next 2 card plays in whatever order you prefer.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Genebound Shackles because, again, that plays right into my deal damage now kind of thing that I like to do. Oh, and Into the Stratosphere. That's another favorite card of mine playing against Omnitron.
Maybe you can put Terraforming back on top of the villain deck.
Maybe. Oh, and here comes the Phosphorescent Chamber. So tell us a little bit about Phosphorescent Chamber, Christopher.
So this is a card that is going to give kind of an overall effect to everything. It's going to increase all damage by 1. It's going to increase all HP recovery by 1. But at the end of the environment turn, each player must discard a card. And at the start of the next environment turn, each player may discard 1 card to get rid of this card. But that means that this card is going to start sapping your resources right away. But the damage and healing buff that it gives also is a buff for the villain that doesn't have to pay for it.
So this is a card that is, this card is a model of economics. And what that means is this is the sunk cost fallacy card, because this is the card where you have to discard a card right now when this comes out. At the start of the environment turn, you also have to discard a card.
Well, you don't have to. You can choose to discard a card to get rid of it.
I'm sorry, I misspoke. You can choose to discard a card to get rid of it, or you will then have to do it at the end of the environment turn, assuming something in the environment turn doesn't destroy this card.
Right.
So it's one of those situations where it's almost always, unless you're really hurting and you know you have a lot of healers out, which are going to be able to have all that HP recovery boosted by 1, I tend to just discard and try and get this out as fast as possible, because I don't really care about the extra damage dealing or HP recovery, personally. But anyway, so we have to discard cards. So Haka. Definitely, so we've got a Rampage. We already used a Rampage, and there isn't
And at this point, a Rampage can take out your teammate a lot easier than before. I'd say get rid of that Rampage. It's probably for the best.
Agreed. Get rid of Rampage. Ra. We've got 2 Excavations. That would be my first thought, is get rid of one of those.
Sure.
Fanatic, 2 Sanctifying Strikes.
What are you going to discard?
I don't know. And 2 Vicious Cyclones.
Yep, there you go.
Done. That was the simplest discard round I think I've ever had. And Interpolation Beam. Now this one's an annoying little mosquito that annoys me.
All right. I bet you that if you really work at it, you can take out Omnitron this round.
All right. You bet me, huh?
I bet you can.
33. Omnitron has 33 HP.
And you have a +1 to damage, so you can do the Sacrosanct Martyr trick and things like that. Remember.
Oh, that's right.
I bet you can do it.
All right, so let's take a look here. We got Ground Pound. When this card is played, either discard 2 cards or destroy this card. It's a great idea, but we don't have 2 cards to destroy. Or discard, which means if we played it, we would basically immediately just use up this card for no good reason whatsoever. So we're not going to do that. So we're going to skip our use a card or play a card phase, which means we're into power. So let's go ahead and deal some damage to Omnitron. 1 target, 2 melee damage, boosted to 3 if we go right after Omnitron.
Yeah, ignore that repair drone. Who cares about that thing?
Thanks to Phosphorescent Chamber. Do we want to draw a card? And this is what I was talking about that mosquito. I'm going to hit the Meanwhile button and go out to Interpolation Beam, because maybe somebody might have missed it. Every time a player draws a hero card, Omnitron deals their hero 1 energy damage. Destroy this card when Omnitron is dealt 7 energy damage or more. So what this basically means is that anytime a hero draws a card, they have to take an energy damage. We are not to the point where we're actually really seriously hurting, except for Fanatic. Fanatic is not doing so great.
She'll be fine.
But she'll be all right. So I'm going to go ahead and say sure.
And you're going to take 2 damage because the damage is increased by the Phosphorescent Chamber.
Yep.
Yeah, called it.
All right. So,
What do you want here to do the most possible damage on your turn? Remembering you get a +1 for each instance of damage you deal.
Yeah, I would probably get that Solar Flare out.
You think so?
I'm looking. Hang on, I'm looking. Relax. Destroy a target with 2 of it enough. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I think you can do more damage with that Inferno.
All right, so let's go ahead and get Inferno out, and we will deal 4 to Omnitron. Well, that's the thing. Like, so this is really important to keep in mind too. One of Omnitron's rules is that if any devices are still in play when you take Omnitron out, Omnitron can rebuild himself from any device that still is remaining. So you have to clear the board of devices. So this is really important. So we're going to have to take out this repair drone as well. All right, so another target. We're going to stop dealing damage. We don't want to deal our teammates currently.
Right.
And now let's deal some fire damage to Omnitron. We got another 3. Flame Barrier. I like that card. All right, so let's look at Sanctifying Strike. 1 melee damage, 2 thanks to Phosphorescent Chamber. Draw a card, and then Fanatic regains 1 HP. Normally,
which is 2 thanks to Phosphorescent Chamber.
Yeah, normally I don't actually like healing Fanatic because I'm usually working myself towards a Wrathful Retribution. But she doesn't have that in her hand right now, so let's go ahead and play this card. We'll do 2 damage to Omnitron. Take him down to 21. Draw a card. We got to smite the transgressor.
All right.
And now we're going to do that Sacrosanct Martyr. So let's go ahead and deal 5.
Yeah.
Boosted by 1, so that's 6.
Yeah.
And now boosted by 1 again, so that's 7.
Beautiful. Look at you. You got this.
Fantastic. All right, so here we are at Tempest's turn.
What are you going to do for the most damage you can possibly get?
All right, let's take a look here. We got Ball Lightning for 4, 5 with Phosphorescent Chamber. Grievous Hailstorm for 2 plus 3 to each. Into the Stratosphere. This is a villain target with the highest HP 2 plus... Oh, right, we got G-Mon Shackles in play. Forgot about that. Oh, I'm banging my head on my microphone. All right, so we got 2 plus 2 versus 5 or more. We're not going to do that. Forget shielding. Forget that. Yeah, so Ball Lightning is going to do 6.
Which is 7. Because of Phosphorescent Chamber.
7. So that's, so to 14.
I think you want to go for that Ball Lightning. Even though you lose the ongoing ability, that's just totally fine.
Yeah, so this is just, again, since I feel like I tend to get caught up in actually playing the game, and I feel like I forget that I'm supposed to be teaching the game.
Right.
So one of the things that you get to see here, so you'll notice you've got your 7 lightning damage here. Gene-bound Shackles, Phosphorescent Chamber. If you tap on either of these, you can see, and here's another thing where you see that we're in beta. Those are supposed to be on top, so you can actually read what those say. And they don't, so I hope those are gone when I hit confirm here. Oh, they're not.
Oh no! We've crashed the game, guys.
That's a real bummer right there.
Now, hold on. Can't you just close the app and start it up again and it'll pick up where we left off?
Yes, I can. What that's going to do to the stream is unclear.
Well, we'll find out.
Let's find
We'll
out.
get to see your desktop and get to see your embarrassing background.
My embarrassing background is artwork from Sentinels of the Multiverse.
Yeah. Oh no, I lost it. It went away.
All right, so hang on. Let's get it back up again. We apologize for our technical difficulties.
That's good. That's good. I like that.
All right, let's see here. Play.
While we're waiting for this downtime, if somebody asks a question in the stream, I might answer it. Maybe not, though.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, if somebody else... No one had asked a question yet, but I'm just trying to delay. I'm stalling. Stall for time. Everything's fine here. How are you?
We're all fine here now.
Yeah.
All right, so... Omnitron, down to 7. Repair Drone, down to 2.
Do you want to share your screen with me on the Skype again?
I do want to do that.
I thought you might.
Share screen. Boom, boom, boom.
All right.
Do you see it?
Silverleaf asks what my favorite color is. My favorite color is usually green, but sometimes orange.
That's interesting. My favorite color is green, sometimes purple.
You know, Jeremy, you and I have a lot in common.
We do. Christopher and I actually discovered, just to let you guys a little peek behind the curtain, we discovered like 6 months into our sort of business relationship that we are both ridiculous fans of Coheed and Cambria.
Yeah.
Any other Children of the Fence in the chat room this evening?
And we're alone. Okay, moving back to the game.
Are you seeing my shared screen?
I'm not. I'm not actually seeing your shared screen.
Right, let me try that again.
I'm seeing it in the Twitch. Hey guys, we're professionals. Professionals.
Oh, Skype. You silly vixen. All right, I'm going to try one more time to share the screen. If not, then we're just going to move on. So
yeah.
Let's see.
If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's so far not doing anything on my end, so.
All right, well.
Yeah. All right, moving on.
Such is life. Moving on. So, the only power Tempest currently has available is his base power, which is Squall. 1 target, 2 projectile damage, plus 2 for Gene-bound Shackles, dealt to Omnitron, plus 1 for Phosphorescent Chamber, bring us to a total of 4. That gets Omnitron down to 3. And the beauty of this is that 1 plus 1 for Phosphorescent Chamber takes that drone completely out of play. And then we draw an Aquatic Correspondence, and now we are moving into the environment turn.
All right, so let's see what the environment pulls out here.
So do all the players agree to discard a card? So we are at the phosphorescent chamber start of turn action here. And as I was saying before, this to me is one of those sort of sunk cost fallacies. Like there are very few situations under which the damage dealt and the recovery HP is going to be worth discarding a card when discarding a card would also remove this from play, in my opinion. Now, granted, my opinion isn't worth a whole hell of a lot, but that is... I almost always get rid of this card.
At this point, there's going to be very little that Omnitron can do to prevent the heroes from defeating it in short order here.
All right, so just say no? Because, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, to me, it's... Here's what the sunk cost fallacy is.
Go ahead and just go... Whichever you prefer. At this point, you're going to win in the next round.
Yeah, I mean, like, to me, it's like, if I got to discard a card anyway, I would rather have this card just be gone. Like, that's sort of the way that I look at it. So I'm going to get rid of Haka of Restoration. I'm going to get rid of Wrathful Gaze because I almost never use a power for a card that has a destroy with X or fewer HP. It's my own personal playstyle. I almost never use those cards unless it's like Fanatic's card, which then allows you to destroy it under 4 and then use that damage to damage something else. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of...
Make a choice.
Smite the Transgress... No, I'm going to get rid of Divine Focus. And then I'm going to get rid of...
I don't think Fanatic's going to get another turn anyway.
Shielding Winds. Yeah, I don't think it's likely. And the Kraken comes out.
Oh!
And so what that means, for those of you paying attention,
that's good.
That means that we didn't even get to deal.
I told you that I thought you could defeat Voss this round, and you did.
You did. Except, of course, that we're not playing against Voss.
God damn it. Sorry, I can't watch the live. I'm not watching the thing anymore because it's not sharing the screen. So I'm now looking at other things and writing stuff for other games.
There we go.
Oh, good. The screen's back. I have no reason to cheat anymore.
All right, so there we are. We unleashed the Kraken. Davy Jones Locka.
Oh, look at Omnitron. It looks so sad.
Oh, poor Omnitron. And actually, we only got to see Fanatic's damaged situation. We didn't get to see the other characters, unfortunately. But you know what? We're not actually going to do a complete new game, but I am going to take us to the new game screen because I know you guys are really excited about the whole promo situation.
Yeah, show us some variants since not everybody's... We'll go ahead and look through them.
Let's see what we got here.
Pull Bunker down there, and let's look at what Bunker's variants are.
So I'm going to let you guys behind the curtain a little bit. We're going to go to the main menu. I'm going to go to options.
What?
So this is a menu that you guys don't get unless you are a beta tester, and that is the auto unlock situation.
Oh, the auto unlock is a lot easier than the unlocks that you're going to actually have to bother going through to get those characters.
Yeah. So here's the characters that you've got. You got the Mad Bomber Blade, which if you were in Australia, you got to meet Mad Bomber Blade on Sunday. There he is. Mad Bomber.
I recognize that guy.
Yeah. He was hanging out at the booth for a little while.
Yeah.
We talked about Omnitron. Oops. So we've got the variant Omnitron. This is Cosmic Omnitron, which we looked at a little bit at the beginning. But, of course, the heroes are the ones that you're really interested about. So, yes, we have Bunker. Everybody knows Bunker. But who do we get to see other than regular Bunker? And that is, of course, GI Bunker with his Panzer Buster ability. Select a target.
Panzer Booster.
Panzer Booster. Oh, yes. So, Christopher, I don't know if you know this, but the very first PAX East that we went to as a company, we went to the Rock Band night the night before, and we played, as a company, we played Du Hast, and we received worst possible Rock Band team ever.
You should have had me there.
And the way it was described to us was, it seemed as though your team read the Wikipedia entry on what this song was supposed to sound like before performing it.
Oh, that's so good.
So
if you guys ever want to play Rock Band again, feel free to invite me. I'm okay at it.
We've got America's Newest Legacy. That is, of course, a.k.a. Young Legacy. We've got, and this is the one that everybody knows about, the Super Scientific Tachyon. You guys are all waiting on your Super Scientific Tachyons cards, right? Right?
Not for too much longer.
Not for too much longer. Those will be shipping from the fabulous Greater Than Games orbiting headquarters ever so shortly. And then final variant we have right now is Rook City Wraith, which has the wonderful Sleuth ability. Sleuth. Reveal the top card of the environment deck and discard it or play it. Yeah, so those are the
So, Jeremy, one
variants
thing somebody in the chat points out is that the variant button might be hard for somebody to push on a 7-inch tablet. It's a nifty way to implement it, but might be a tad small. So my question is, when you've got that variant card there in your slot there, I mean, do you have to hit precisely on that button, or if you're just tapping in that kind of general lower third of the card, will you be fine?
I can make sure to test that. Okay. At this point, we've just implemented this feature literally today. I just created that banner. I just created that button. So we will test it. At this point, we have not yet tested it on device. We've only tested it sort of in our test build. So it'll go out on device very shortly, and we will test that. So yeah, we'll make sure that it's easy enough for people to use.
Thanks.
Yeah. 7-inch tablets, man. Whew, those are small.
Yeah, my phone is a 5-inch phone, so yeah.
Wah wah.